Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to This League. My name's JD. This week we have the Northwest Division preview. That's OKC, Denver, Minnesota, Utah, and last and least, the fucking Portland Trailblazers. A division that the top three teams in the division finished 1, 2, 3 in the West. It's going to be competitive again. And yeah, we're going to just keep switching back and forth from the East and West. So last week we did the Atlantic. The week before we did Pacific. And just preview every division until the season starts. And then we'll get going from there. But before I get into that, we got to talk about the trade. I guess it directly affects the Timberwolves. And it was Karl Anthony Towns for Randle and DiVincenzo. Last week we actually, like I just said, previewed the Knicks. I said that the Celtics would win the division. The Sixers would be more competitive than the Knicks. Do I still think that? I'm not quite sure, man. On paper, Cat, McHale, OG, Josh Hart, and Brunson is pretty fucking good. Cat started his career with Thiis. The questions on him and the concerns with him is his settling, if he's soft, this, that, and the other thing. He was a 20-point per game scorer under Thiis. Thiis obviously liked it enough to let the trade go through. Not that James Dolan wouldn't make a trade without Thiis' consent. But I think this helps the Knicks a lot. I do. I think having that five, the concern is Mitchell Robinson's not coming back until, I think, January, maybe a little earlier. And Hartenstein left so that there's a big gaping hole at the five, to put it not so lightly. And Cat fills that position. I think he can spread the floor for him. He gives them more three-point shooting. I was saying, other than DiVincenzo, their three-point shooting would be a little spooky. Josh Hart can spot up. OG not so much. McHale, I think, can do it when asked. He did it in Phoenix, and having Cat definitely helps that, man. That team's going to be very, very dynamic, that first unit, and I think it upgrades them for sure. I saw the Roommates show, the Roommates podcast, Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson's podcast. That's like, everyone talks shit about how everyone has a podcast or everyone's trying to start a podcast. I talk shit about it too. Here I am with like no viewers, no subscribers, trying to make it. But everyone says not to do it because it's already a very saturated field. But they just started theirs last year, and it's really good. I like their dynamic. You can tell they're real friends. And it's a great show, but they had a live show in Central Park at Woolman Ring, which I've partied there before. The like ice skating, roller skating park that's inside of Central Park, or ice skating rink, I should say. And they did like a live podcast from there. Had Oz Perlman, Oz the Mentalist, come out. That guy is something else. I don't even know what to believe anymore. Like, the tricks that he has been doing recently, they started popping up again because the NFL season started. He had Josh Allen. I don't know. It's tough to explain the whole thing. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. And if you do know who he is, you know how absolutely mental that shit is. But he had Jalen Brunson write on a piece of paper, like, about a big matchup at the end of the season and how much they're going to win by, the score, how much someone on the other team is going to have, and if they're going to play well, and he basically completely nailed it. I don't know how. Oh yeah, he had a girl say it. He had a fan come up onto the stage and then say what Jalen Brunson was thinking. Long story short, what Jalen Brunson was thinking was a big game against the Suns. Like 125, 115 win. KD has 32 points though, and like if we see the Knicks in the finals, I'm taking us all day long. And I don't know why I felt like I needed to say that, but we will talk about the Timberwolves part of that trade when we get to them. We're going to start off with the Thunder, though. Okay, first in the division, first in the West, second round exit to Luka and the Mavericks. Luka sprained his ankle or had an ankle contusion this morning. Hope he's all right, just as a fan of basketball. But the big roster changes, they upgraded. The number one team in the West and the number one team in this division somehow upgraded. They lost Giddey, who was a shell of himself. I think all the off-court stuff got to his play. He started coming off the bench. They told him, you're going to be coming off the bench. He asked for a trade. They did it very amicably, very, very respectfully. I like that. I like how that was handled. You don't always see it handled that way. I hate when things get dramatic, but it was nice, and he was really good with the Thunder up until last year. I don't know. I mean, I do know what happened, the off-court stuff, and but anyways, they lose him, pick up Caruso, and Hartenstein. So move Lou Dort to the bench. As of right now, the depth chart on ESPN says Chet is starting at the 4 and Hartenstein at the 5. Listen, I love it. They're going to be really, really, really good, but I just don't know if they're there yet. Caruso won a chip with the Lakers. Hartenstein was amazing when he needed to step up in the playoffs. I remember seeing him early in his career. I think he was on the Rockets. They might have been playing the Suns. I don't know what game it was, but I was just like, who is this giant lefty? Like, nice little bag, plays hard. He's been making noise a little bit and slowly gotten better, and now he's earned himself a starting spot on the number one team in the West. And they're going to be really good again, but are they there yet? You know, Luka and the Mavs beat them in the second round last year. They're probably going to win a lot of regular season games just like last year, but looking at like true finals contenders, I'm not sure if they are there yet. And Shea, top 5 player, fucking unreal scorer and just pure hooper. But when it gets down to the gritty, man, it's like, can these young guys get it done? Are they ready? We saw with the OG version of the Thunder, Russ, KD, Harden, those guys didn't make it to the finals but got worked, and they are all MVPs. They're all great in their own right. I would say the 3 of them at that time is definitely better than the Thunder big 3 of Shea, Jalen Williams, and Holmgren right now. So I just don't know if they're there yet. But will they be there eventually in like a year? A couple years? For sure. But this year, it's going to be interesting. I see them winning a lot of games. I see them playing well, but in the regular season, but in the playoffs, can they do it? Can they do it? And right now, that's just a question mark. I'm not confident enough to say that they will. And I like the Thunder. I love Shea. Loved him at Kentucky. I've talked about this on the podcast before. Usually, Cal just not this last year, but Shea like started off the bench, and then by the end of the year was the starting point guard. Like, Cal's usually good about letting those guys work their way into the starting lineup, even though he had Rob and Reed coming off the bench this year. That was not a good decision, but anyways, Alex Caruso, though, essentially coming in, replacing the shell of what was Josh Giddey last year. Caruso's the oldest guy on the team at 30, which is fucking insane. Last year they were younger than, I think, UConn. When UConn won the Natty, the average age of all the players was younger than UConn because of how many young guys they got. But seeing Caruso be the oldest guy on the team is like crazy and hilarious, and it makes me feel old, bro, because I remember like watching G League highlights of Caruso with the fucking South Bay Lakers or whatever the fuck, and just yamming on fools before he went bald, which was the right choice. And I do love his game, but it's a step up. But when I'm analyzing some of these top tier teams, these criticisms are purely off of like, can they win a ship? And it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Thunder can, but this year I think it's interesting. It's going to like this year with them and the Timberwolves, who again I'll get to, like the scales of power in the NBA, the scales of stardom are slowly tipping. And will they officially tip this year? Like, will the Thunder and the Knicks see each other in the finals, or will the Suns make it? Will the Nuggets stay in control? Can the Sixers and their, led by Joel and PG, can they get there? It's like, it's going to be a very, very interesting year to see the food chain reveal itself in the NBA, because after watching these Olympics, like, I'm even excited about LeBron this year. These older guys are not passing the torch just yet, and these younger guys are faster, younger, more athletic, younger. They are also younger and have a lot of run in them, but shit. I don't know if that's just like a me thing, because KD, Bron, Steph, those guys are like my guys. Like, watch them come to power growing up in like high school, college, and it's kind of like not wanting to let go of the good times, like holding on to the past. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to just say Anthony Edwards is like the face of the league just yet, but that applies to the Thunder, right? If the scales of power do shift and like the Thunder make a Western Conference Finals, make an NBA Finals, then we are really looking at the close of that chapter. And I guess what it comes down to when I'm talking about the Thunder is I don't think that chapter is fully closed yet. I don't think we're fully ready to turn the page. Another little concern, I guess, is the 3-point shooting. Caruso shoot. I wouldn't call him a fucking knockdown killer out there. Isaiah Joe was top 20 in 3-point percentage, shot 41.6, I believe. Jalen Williams actually shot 42.7%, was like top 10, but he only shot 241 threes. Grayson Allen led it with 46.1% off of 445 threes for reference. Like, he shot 200 more. So Jalen Williams shot it well, he just didn't shoot a lot. If he comes out and proves that he can just be a knockdown 3-point shooter around Chet and Shea, then I like their chances a little more. But again, it's the power scale. I don't know if I'm fully ready to say that it has shifted over. And then another person that plays into this power scale, who's at power right now, great segue, the Denver Nuggets. Okay, last year finished second in the division, second in the West. They and the Thunder actually had the same record, but the Thunder won the tiebreaker. They were both 57 and 25, great seasons. The Nuggets, wouldn't be surprised if they took a step back. Okay, they lost KCP, so right now on ESPN they're starting 2 is Christian Braun. It should be Braun, but he says it's Brown. Spelled Braun, bro. but they picked up Westbrook and they picked up Saric. And that bench is looking mighty thin. They're going to ask a lot out of Jamal Murray, who wasn't his best version of himself this summer at the Olympics. I don't know if that'll carry on or not. But if you have Jokic on your team, you're going to be competing. And that's the fact of the matter. They have 4 of the 5 starters from their championship year, minus KCP. But they bring back Michael Porter Jr., who is so solid and so good. One of my favorite players coming out of high school, but injuries have kind of held him back. But we have a good sense of who he is now when it comes to his place in the NBA, and I think alongside Jokic is just perfect. And they're going to have moments where they're just shitting on people, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I'm thinking they also might have moments where they get exposed over the course of a full season, right? They have all these young guys that they drafted after they won the chip. They had Peyton Watson, Hunter Tyson, Julian Strother, who was a rookie last year. That's their depth. They also picked up Dario Saric, but they are, outside of the starting 5, they are a very young team. And so if those guys can step up and be great, then yeah, I think the Nuggets have a chance at being number 1 in the West again. But if I had to guess, I would say they're not ready yet, and they won't. Jokic, I love Jokic. There's the Dog Walk Barstool podcast. They draft. They do these drafts based off certain topics. The one this week was famous people you'd like to have a beer with. And I didn't finish it, but I saw the first couple rounds of the draft, and no one had picked Jokic. Jokic would have been like my second round pick, I think. I would have probably picked George Kittle, Jokic, and Jokic, because Jokic is a booze hound. At the Olympics, when they showed up to the third place ceremony, or the medal ceremony, shit-faced and like he almost fell over. It's great. Every time I see him after they win something, after they won the championship, and then after they won bronze in the Olympics, like he looks like an amazing person to drink with. Now, he would definitely drink you under the table. Like, you would have to pace yourself. You'd probably have to go 1 beer for his 2, if I were guessing, because he's a fucking 7-foot unit of a man. But drinking beers with Jokic would be cool, even though sometimes he pisses me off. But he only pisses me off because of how good he is. But moving along here, the Timberwolves, here we are again. Mike Conley, Ant, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert at the 5, and their new starting power forward, Julius Randle. I love this for them. People love to say who won or lost. I think the Knicks won, but I don't think the Timberwolves lost. The Timberwolves also won, but if we were doing a redraft of the NBA, Karl Anthony Towns is going rounds ahead of Julius Randle. But as far as this team and their identity, I think Julius Randle fits way better than Cat does. Julius Randle is a dog, and him and Anthony Edwards are going to really give some teams hell, and it's going to be fucking awesome to watch. But Julius Randle coming over along with Dante DiVincenzo, who's also a dog, gives this Minnesota Timberwolves literally the identity of wolves. Like, they are a fucking wolf pack. And they're going to be fucking mean. They're going to bully people. They're going to give people hell for 48 minutes. And they're going to be one of the most exciting teams to watch. Off the bench, they have Naz Reid. Naz Reid truthers, stand up. Come together. Cat being gone, I think it was time. I think this allows Naz Reid a little more time to cook, because there were moments like last year in the playoffs even where Naz Reid was in the game and he had to come out because Cat was coming in, but Shit, man. Sometimes you just want to let Naz Reid cook. He fucked us up one of those games in the playoffs. He had like a fast break dunk, I think, and I was just like, it's over. It's over. Naz Reid dropped in the draft, I believe, even though he was like a very high prospect out of high school. His high school tape is crazy. Like, his AAU shit, like, imagine showing up to a gym, playing like an 8 o'clock game on like a Saturday morning, crust in your eyes, and you roll out and there's this like 6'9", just absolute freak on the other side. Naz Reid is him, dude. Him. I actually didn't know this, but I'm looking at it right now. Joe Ingles is also on the team. Dog. They drafted Rob Dillingham. Dog. They still have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's going to give people hell. It gives them a little more depth even, too. Like, if Conley were to go down or if Ant were to go down, having Dante and Nickeil as your backup guards is very nice. And, shit. I'm, like, dehydrated, man. Another key piece of this is Jaden McDaniels. Another one, like, they have all these guys who I love watching play. So, might be a little biased, but Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Ant, Dante, Joe Ingles, Naz Reid, Conley is a floor general. You don't see him as a mean guy, but he balls, bro. He's a competitor, and so they're gonna be a tough out come playoffs, a very tough out, and I'm very excited about them. Now down to the shit part of the division. The Jazz finished 4th in the division, 12th in the West, 31-51. They bring in Patty Mills. They still have Jordan Clarkson somehow. John Collins is at the 5. They still have Walker Kessler. I guess they lost Kelly Olynyk, who their season was pointless, but when he was playing, he affects the game. He just does. Where is he, by the way? Plays for the Raptors. He's back in Canada. Good for him. But Keontae George in year 2, guy that I loved coming out of college, bro. He's a bucket. I think his ceiling is Dame. I truly do. He's that gifted of a scorer, and I don't think it's going to happen this year, but in a few years, watch out for him. But right now on ESPN, their depth chart is Keontae George, Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Taylor Hendricks, the rookie from last year, and John Collins. I imagine there might be some nights where John Collins starts at the 4, Walker at the 5. They have Patty Mills, Jordan Clarkson. They drafted Cody Williams, Jalen Williams' little brother, Perry, high school and Gilbert product, Arizona kid. Kyle Filipowski and Isaiah Collier. They had a good draft. They have the Ukrainian fucking guy, Svi Mikhailu, Bryce Sensabaugh. They have a nice young thing. They got to either commit to the rebuild or, I don't know. Lauri's like on the trade market for like the 10th summer in a row, even though he's only been in the NBA for like, I don't even know, 6 years or something. But it feels like every summer he's on the trade block. You either got to package some of these young guys and take a step up, or trade Jordan Clarkson to a contender, Lauri Markkanen to a hopeful team, John Collins as well, and just build with Keontae George, Cody Williams, Walker Kessler. It's a unique position. They're not going to do much this year. Keontae George is going to be fun to watch, I would say, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. They're going to probably beat the Suns once, and I'm going to be really upset about it, but yeah. Their coach is good too, Hardy, I think. I like his vibe, like what he does. I don't really know what he does, but I like them. I like them a lot. I like this version of him way more than the old version. Mike Conley, Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. I fucking hated those guys. Absolutely hated those guys. They always beat the fuck out of us. Joe Ingles too, motherfucker. Another guy who like you would love if he was on your team, but when he's not on your team, he's the most hateable, punchable face looking guy in the world. Portland, last and least, Portland, the Trailblazers, 21-61, yikes. Last in the division, yikes. 15th, aka last in the West, yikes. The yikes trifecta. They might finish there again. Tank for Cooper, whatever the fuck you need to do. They're stuck with Ayton, which I don't want to be mean, but I knew that was going to happen. Trading for Nurkic was great. I wish we could have been in the Dame sweepstakes, but Dame wanted to stay with the team and see how the draft played out before requesting a trade, and I think we got Nurkic before that happened. But if that aligned and we got Nurkic and Dame instead of Beal, would be nice. But I'm excited about Beal. I don't want to talk too much about the Suns because it's about the Blazers. Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simmons, Denny Avdija, Jeremy Grant, who's making like a fucking $50 million a year, and Ayton. They drafted Donovan Clingan out of UConn. That'll be interesting. I think that's going to be a project. In college, he was pretty good, but and I think one of my theories is that the league is shifting back to a too big lineup, just because of how talented the bigs have gotten. They're not necessarily liabilities anymore on the wings. I think the bigs have an advantage again. They can post y'all up. They can post up the smaller lineups, and these fucking guys like Jeremy Grant, or not Jeremy Grant. He's not really that tall, but like a Wemby or the Thunder, who we were talking about earlier, starting Chet at the 4, even though he's like he's 7 feet tall. That kind of shit is going to make it so that you need to start too big. So Donovan Clingan's prospect in a league that eventually turns into a too big league again is good, which I like. They also have Robert Williams, so they're loaded in the front court. If someone wants to try to take a chance on Ayton and eat the money, go for it. Probably a tanking team, but Robert Williams is apparently healthy now, which I hope so, because he's fun to watch. He's a big who can't shoot threes or whatever, but like you need guys like that. So Clingan and him and Ayton in the front court isn't all that bad for a building team. They've also got Shaedon Sharpe, who's fucking insane athlete, but not there yet. Chris Murray, what's his name? Murray from the Kings' little brother. Keegan Murray's little brother. Jabari Walker, and Matisse Thybulle, who's all the way down the depth chart. That sucks. He really was gonna be something with the Sixers, huh? Left and hasn't been going that well. But yeah, kind of like the worst team in the division last year and gonna be again this year. But this has been the Northwest Division Preview. My name is JD. Thank you for watching this league. Like, subscribe, all that shit. And I'll be back next week with a Eastern Division preview. And it'll be the last one. It'll be... what division is that? The Southeast. No. Oh no, it won't be the last East one. I have to do 2 more East ones. I'll do the Southeast. Fuck it. Well, I said Southeast. We'll do the Southeast. The Magic, Heat, Hawks, Hornets, and Wizards. And but yeah, thanks again. I'll see you next week.